On the edge of the sleepy suburb of Black Pine, Washington, just outside Seattle's rainy skyline, stood an aging Victorian mansion the locals whispered about but never approached, Willow House. With its creaking iron gates, ivy-suffocated stone walls, and windows that always seemed to watch you back, it loomed like a forgotten chapter of something better left unread. In the summer of 2022, the Coleman family moved in. Richard, a respected deacon at the local church, Melissa, his pragmatic wife, and their only daughter, Lena, an 18-year-old with a passion for antique shops and all things macabre. To Lena, Willow House was beautiful in its decay, the perfect blend of eerie and enchanting. She especially adored collecting vintage toys and creepy oddities from estate sales, things most kids would avoid. But what lay buried in Willow House was far darker than anything she imagined. Their first week passed peacefully, too peacefully. Lena spent her days exploring dusty hallways and forgotten corners, the floors groaning under every step. It was on the 7th night, as cicadas screamed outside and the moon cast ghostly beams through warped glass, that the doorbell rang. To their surprise, Richard's estranged mother, Edith, stood on the porch, her thin frame wrapped in a shawl far too heavy for the warm air. "I felt drawn here," she murmured, eyes clouded with something not entirely of this world. Edith was rarely seen, a woman whispered about for her strange habits and belief in omens. Still, Melissa offered her a place at the table. They laughed and ate, but Lena couldn't shake the unease. Edith kept glancing toward the staircase, watching it as if expecting something to descend. The next morning, Edith announced she was leaving. "I can't stay long, but I brought something for Lena." She handed her granddaughter a box wrapped in aged brown paper and twine. Inside was a toy, unlike anything Lena had seen before, a Labubu doll. It had shaggy fur, bulging eyes, oversized ears, and a mischievous grin that seemed to move when you weren't looking. Something about it screamed wrong, but Lena was enchanted. "I think I'll call him Boo Boo," she whispered, hugging it close. That night, as the wind howled and tree branches clawed the windows like bony fingers, Lena whispered to the doll before sleep, "Good night, Boo Boo." And then a voice, raspy, childlike, not hers, replied,
"Forever, Lena."
She froze. The room suddenly felt colder, darker. A pressure settled over her chest, and something deep within her warned, "Don't look away." The next morning, Melissa found her daughter sitting cross-legged on the floor, whispering to Boo Boo. "What are you talking about?" she asked, forcing a smile. "His memories," Lena said, her grin too wide, eyes unfocused. "He tells me things from before." Melissa backed away slowly, a chill crawling up her spine. Later that day, she noticed strange things around the house. Doors unlocking themselves, faucets dripping crimson-tinged water, and crimson smears across mirrors that vanished before you could blink. Their golden retriever, Tucker, barked endlessly at the attic door, his tail between his legs. He stopped eating altogether and whimpered in corners. But the most disturbing evidence came from the security camera. At 2:13 a.m., it showed the Labubu doll sitting upright on Lena's nightstand. Then, frame by frame, its head turned toward the bed. Then its tiny arm moved, just a twitch. By morning, it was still. Richard, unsettled, confided in Father Ellis, the church's elderly priest. When he mentioned the name Lena had given the doll, Boo Boo, Father Ellis went pale. Sorry for the interruption. If you're still watching, please hit that subscribe button below. So, let's continue the video. He opened a faded church archive file. In 1963, a young girl named Beverly Boo Boo Whitlock was burned alive in a house fire after being accused of witchcraft by her own family. The only thing found intact in the ashes, her favorite toy, a wide-eyed Labubu doll, charred but untouched by flame.
She swore she'd return.
Ellis whispered.
To finish what was started.
That night, Melissa woke at exactly 3:06 a.m. The air was thick, her skin damp with sweat. She stepped into the hallway and froze. There, standing at the end of the corridor, was a small creature. It had shaggy fur, long arms, and bulging eyes that gleamed in the dark. It was Bubu, but it was moving. It turned slowly toward her and grinned. Melissa screamed. The figure blinked out like a dying flame. Outside Lena's door, a message was scrawled in what looked like bloody fingernail marks. "She's mine." Lena began to deteriorate. Her cheeks hollowed, her laughter vanished. Her voice became monotone, her eyes too wide, always staring at something no one else could see. She refused to let go of the doll, even during showers. Desperate, Richard brought in a Haitian priestess known only as Madame Della, renowned for handling cursed objects. Upon entering the house, she whispered, "This place is not haunted. It's claimed." She set up a ritual in the basement, salt circles, black candles, mirrors etched with binding sigils. Lena sat catatonic in the corner, the Labubu doll clutched to her chest. As Della began chanting, the doll levitated, trembling violently. Shadows poured from it, forming a grotesque silhouette of a girl, her face a molten mask of anguish, her voice layered with 100 shrieking souls.
You killed me,
the entity screamed.
and now I live again.
The walls cracked, the floor bled, pictures fell, light bulbs shattered. Lena's head jerked back, her mouth opening in a howl not her own.
I am Bubu.
Della slammed a glowing talisman into the mirror. It shattered, shards slicing the air. A screech tore through the basement so loud the candles exploded. And then, silence. The doll crumbled to ash. Lena collapsed. She spent 2 days in the hospital. When she woke, she remembered nothing, but her hair had turned grey at the roots. Madame Della gave a final warning. Some spirits don't want peace. They want company. The Colemans moved out within the month. They left everything behind, even Lena's beloved collection. She never looked at another antique again. Willow House stands empty. Locals cross the street rather than walk past it. But they say if you go near on a moonless night, you'll see 2 glowing eyes in the upstairs window. And if you're really unlucky, you'll hear a childlike giggle and a voice too close to your ear whisper, "Forever." Still watching, but not subscribed? A lot of effort goes into making these videos. When you subscribe and share, it keeps me motivated to create more. So please, make sure to subscribe.